Today, Japan is the most successful footballing nation in Asia. They've won the Asian Cup a record 4 times, qualified for every World Cup since 1998, and gone toe-to-toe with European powerhouses.
Japan win Group E. Spain progress as runners-up. And the nation from the land of the rising sun. The sunset will take a long time to come for this party. They beat Germany 2-1.
Look around Europe and you'll find Japanese players playing for some of Europe's elite clubs. But all this shouldn't be possible. For one thing, football isn't even the most popular sport in Japan, baseball is. So how did Japan become so good at football? And what does anime have to do with it? Before Japan became a footballing powerhouse, its relationship with the sport was a slow and winding journey, shaped by cultural shifts, international influences, and a drive for modernization. To understand how anime like Captain Tsubasa could later transform Japanese football, we first need to explore the sport's early history in Japan, a story that begins in the late 19th century. Football arrived in Japan in 1873 during the Meiji Restoration, a period when the country was rapidly modernizing and adopting Western practices. It was introduced by Royal Navy Lieutenant Commander Archibald Lucius Douglas while serving as an advisor to the Japanese Navy. At this time, Japan was eager to absorb Western influences, from technology to culture, as part of its modernization strategy. Football, with its emphasis on teamwork and strategy, resonated with Japanese values while offering a new form of physical education. However, football's early days were confined to small communities of foreign residents and sailors in port cities like Yokohama and Kobe. These groups organized informal matches that laid the groundwork for the sport's future development. In 1888, Japan saw its first official football match between the Yokohama Country and Athletic Club and the Kobe Regatta and Athletic Club. While these early games were dominated by expatriates, they planted the seeds for football's growth in Japan. The first major turning point came in 1917 with the formation of Tokyo Shukyu-dan, Japan's first native football club. This marked a shift from football being a foreign curiosity to becoming part of Japanese culture. The establishment of the Japanese Football Association in 1921 further solidified this transition. That same year, Japan introduced the Emperor's Cup, inspired by a replica of England's FA Cup gifted by the English Football Association. The Emperor's Cup became Japan's most prestigious domestic competition and provided a platform for local talent to showcase their skills. During this period, football also began to take root in educational institutions. Universities and high schools incorporated it into their athletic programs, creating a structured pathway for young players. Intercollegiate competitions emerged, fostering rivalries and building enthusiasm for the sport among students. This educational focus would prove crucial in nurturing future generations of players. Despite these developments, football struggled to compete with baseball, which was rapidly becoming Japan's favorite sport. The interwar years saw football gain some traction internationally, but faced domestic challenges. Japan participated in its first international tournament at the 1930 Far Eastern Championship Games and made its Olympic debut at the 1936 Berlin Games. These events showcased Japan's growing capabilities on the global stage, but did little to elevate football's status at home. The outbreak of World War II brought further setbacks. Many players were called to military service, competitions were suspended, and infrastructure suffered significant damage. Football's momentum stalled during these years, leaving a void that would require rebuilding after the war. In the aftermath of World War II, Japanese football entered a phase of reconstruction. Grassroots enthusiasm played a key role in reviving the sport despite limited resources. The All Japan Works Football Championship was established in 1948, providing a platform for company-based teams that would later form the backbone of professional football in Japan. By 1955, the All Japan Intercity Football Championship expanded national competition further. A pivotal moment came during the 1964 Tokyo Olympics when Japan hosted and reached the quarterfinals in football. This achievement sparked widespread interest in the sport and led to significant investments in coaching methods and facilities. The exposure to international competition helped Japanese coaches adopt modern tactics from Europe. The creation of the Japan Soccer League in 1965 marked another milestone. With 8 teams from 5 regions, it was Japan's first national league competition and represented a shift toward professionalization. Corporate sponsorships from companies like Mitsubishi and Hitachi strengthened this semi-professional league by providing better facilities and salaries for players. By the late 1960s and 1970s, Japanese football began making waves internationally. The national team won bronze at the 1968 Mexico Olympics, Japan's first major international football medal, cementing its global potential. Around this time, Yasuhiko Okudera became the first Japanese player to compete professionally in Europe when he joined FC Köln in Germany in 1977. His success demonstrated that Japanese players could thrive at an elite level abroad. Domestically, however, challenges persisted. While corporate support kept the JSL afloat, baseball continued to dominate as Japan's favorite spectator sport. Attendance at football matches remained modest compared to baseball games. By 1981, Japanese football had established solid foundations, but lacked widespread popularity or full professionalization. The infrastructure was there, a stable league system existed, corporate backing was strong, youth development programs were growing, and international performances showed promise. Yet something was missing, a spark that could ignite nationwide passion for football. That spark would come from an unlikely source. That spark came in 1981 with the debut of Captain Tsubasa, a manga series that would change the trajectory of Japanese football and leave an indelible mark on the global game. At its core, Captain Tsubasa tells the story of Tsubasa Ozora, a young boy with dreams of becoming a professional footballer. But this was more than just a sports story. It was an emotional journey of ambition, teamwork, and overcoming challenges. Its creator, Yoichi Takahashi, found inspiration for the series after watching the 1978 FIFA World Cup in Argentina. Captivated by the beauty and drama of football on the world stage, Takahashi envisioned a story that could bring that same excitement to Japanese youth. When Captain Tsubasa debuted in Weekly Shonen Jump, it did exactly that. The timing couldn't have been better. Japan's football infrastructure was growing, but public enthusiasm lagged behind. Baseball was still king, and football struggled to carve out its place in Japanese culture. Yet within just a few years of Captain Tsubasa's release, everything began to change. Between 1981 and 1987, over 250,000 boys enrolled in football schools across Japan, directly inspired by the adventures of Tsubasa and his teammates. For many children, this was their first exposure to football as something more than just a foreign sport. It became a dream they could pursue. The influence of Captain Tsubasa extended far beyond inspiring kids to kick a ball around. It fundamentally reshaped how Japan approached football development. The series emphasized technical skills, precision passing, and tactical awareness, qualities that became hallmarks of Japanese football in the decades that followed. Coaches began incorporating these ideals into their training methodologies, creating a new generation of players who prioritize technique and teamwork over physicality. This cultural shift coincided with structural changes in Japanese football. The establishment of the J-League in 1992 marked Japan's transition to professional football. What's remarkable is how much Captain Tsubasa contributed to this transformation, not just by inspiring young players, but also by building public support for the league itself. The generation that grew up reading Captain Tsubasa had become young adults eager to see professional football thrive in their country. The impact wasn't just domestic, it was generational. By the time Japan qualified for its first FIFA World Cup in 1998, many players on the national team were part of the first wave of kids inspired by Captain Tsubasa. The manga had effectively planted a belief system that Japanese players could compete on the world stage. This belief fueled Japan's rise from an underdog nation to one of Asia's most dominant footballing powers. One of Captain Tsubasa's most fascinating legacies is how it influenced Japan's playing style. The series' focus on technical excellence and team-oriented play mirrored what would become defining traits of Japanese football. Players like Hidetoshi Nakata, arguably Japan's greatest ever player, have credited Captain Tsubasa for inspiring them to pursue football over other sports like baseball. However, this influence wasn't without its quirks. For example, while Captain Tsubasa celebrated midfielders and playmakers with exceptional ball control and vision, it inadvertently created a shortage of strikers in Japanese football. Recognizing this issue, Takahashi later created another manga series called Hungry Heart Wild Striker, specifically aimed at promoting striker development, a testament to how deeply intertwined manga culture and football development had become. While Captain Tsubasa transformed Japanese football from within, its impact didn't stop at Japan's borders. The series became a global phenomenon, inspiring countless professional players across Europe and South America who grew up watching or reading it. Zinedine Zidane famously credited Captain Tsubasa with shaping his love for the game during his youth in Marseille. Spanish World Cup champion Fernando Torres has said that watching the series motivated him to become a striker. Andres Iniesta, one of Barcelona's greatest midfielders, has spoken about how much he admired the series and even keeps Captain Tsubasa merchandise as part of his personal collection. The influence extended onto the pitch as well. Italian legend Alessandro Del Piero once attempted to recreate some of Tsubasa's signature moves during matches, a testament to how deeply ingrained the series became in players' imaginations. Even today, Captain Tsubasa continues to inspire new generations of players around the world. Current Japanese stars like Takefusa Kubo and Ritsu Doan have openly discussed growing up with the series, demonstrating its lasting impact on Japanese football culture. Japan's journey from football obscurity to international prominence is a testament to the power of storytelling and imagination. It shows how something as simple as a comic strip can inspire a nation and transform an entire sport. I know that in England, we had Roy of the Rovers and that South Africa has super strikers. So I'm curious, did your country have any fictional footballer comic strip or cartoon series when you were growing up? Comment down below if you did, and while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe.